Welcome to Swinger University, your horizontal enrichment program. A new kind of accelerated learning program. Here are your hosts, Ed and Phoebe.
Hi, this is Ed.
And this is Phoebe.
Today we're talking about the things you may do that jeopardize your chances at a swinger experience. We're going to list 20 items pertaining to physical attributes, personality, networking, teamwork, sensitive topics, participation, and kinks.
But before we start, Ed and I want to ask for your help. Our goal this year is to grow our audience. We want to reach more people with our show, and you can help us to do that. Here are just a few ways for you to help. Rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify.
Post a link to your favorite podcast on your social media.
Tell another swinger about our podcast and ask them to check us out.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
Scroll down and you will find all the links to our social media in our notes.
We really appreciate all of our listeners, and we appreciate all the support you give to us and our podcast.
Item number 1, swinger sites. Join the correct site for your area, pay the fee, and you'll get emails. We've talked about this before in one of our early episodes on how to get connected with parties, hot dates, events, and couple dates in your community.
So check out the swinger apps that are in your area, and it's hard to know exactly which one is your area until you try a couple out and see how many people are there. So do a search, see how many swingers come back in your city, and that'll help you to decide which app best meets your needs.
We just acquired a new listener to our podcast who lives in our city that didn't even know about the hotel takeovers we go to 3 to 4 times a year.
Right.
And they've been swinging for a while. So maybe they're a little new. I don't know, but I don't know how they missed it. So we quickly turned them on to that.
Yeah. So get the word out, like we said, because there are swingers who are missing out on all the fun.
Right. Number 2, physical appearance. Update your wardrobe. I've done it several times. And the longer I swing, the more, as Ed would say, slutty my clothing gets.
Phoebe is flaunting what she's already had for a long time. She's flaunting what she's got more than she used to.
It's amazing how comfortable you start to get when you start running around naked all the time.
I'm very comfortable with you running around naked. I appreciate it.
A lot of people step up their fitness as well. It gives you more confidence. It generates more testosterone. You generally just feel better. Even if your goal isn't to, lose weight or, tone up, that physical activity is going to make you feel confident. It does something for you.
If anything, it helps with your stamina to stay up late at the parties.
That too. Or fuck longer.
And just as a note, too, I didn't say it when Phoebe had mentioned updating wardrobe, but guys, this applies to you as well. Put the jeans and the t-shirt back in the drawer. Those are great for going and hanging out at the bar with your buddies. Not so much for swinging.
Well, yeah.
Dress to impress.
I agree.
Put a little effort in.
I agree. Hygiene. Obvious. Some of this is obvious. Right? Everyone shower ahead of time, freshen up if you've had a long drive or you feel like you're sweating while dancing. We always, when we get to the hotel, even though I showered that morning, I freshen up again before I go to the dance floor. And I use a product. I'm going to do a product review on this product called Loom. It's basically like what is it? What's the word? Baking soda? No, I can't remember what it's made of now. It's like a very natural deodorant, keeps you smelling fresh. So when you're sweating on the dance floor and stuff, you don't stink. So that's really, really nice. Obviously, brush your teeth, use the mouthwash. If you're not a mouthwash user, use it anyway.
Yeah.
Get the little breath mints. Make sure your deodorant's great. If you're a deodorant user and not an antiperspirant user, switch to antiperspirant that night because you're going to probably need a little extra protection. Go easy on your cologne and perfume because I can't tell you how many times I run into people with too much of it and it's stuck on me and I can't get it off. It's like everywhere. And
it'll actually kind of turn your stomach too if it's a little too strong. It's such a strong scent.
Right. Whether you really like it or you don't like it, it can be overwhelming either way. Right. There are many, many times I've had to just,
Yeah. And of course, wash your hands before you play.
Right.
You would wash your hands before you stuck anything in your mouth. Why wouldn't you wash your hands before you stuck your fingers in somebody else?
Thank you, Ed. Perfection, it does not exist.
Don't hold out for perfection, but you can strive for perfection if you want.
Right. Oh, by the way, that was a number 4, perfection. Most people don't care, and they don't even notice. In fact, Ed saw this great video the other day. Was it a video? Or was it another podcaster? And he was talking about what men think about when they're with a woman.
It was a video, and I can't remember what the context of it was. I think it was a swinger podcast, and it was a clip that they'd grabbed from him. But basically, the guy, I wish I'd written it down or saved it, but it was basically, women, stop listening to yourselves, listen to the men. And it was basically like, get your fine ass over here and let me do things to you because I love it.
Yeah.
I love the way you look, whether you're skinny or tall or short or fat, whatever. It don't matter. Get your fine ass over here.
Yeah, I know. He was so great.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. He's like the thighs, the butt, the arms, the face, all of it. We don't think about what's missing, what's wrong, what's got a dimple, what's got a curve, what's got a wrinkle. He's like, we don't look at that. We don't see it. All we see is sexy. So just get over here and start having some fun. And I just loved it. So
Words
it's very
to live
true.
By.
Yes. So let's see.
And what that comes down to is confidence is sexy.
Correct.
So if you stop worrying about how you look and you just start worrying about having a good time and exuding confidence, even if you have to fake it till you make it, you will be sexier.
Yes. And now I think we're on number 5, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to probably lose count as we go. So another perfection. Don't, as far as like income and education, etc.
Right.
Don't actively try to date up or match up. I mean, don't make that your main focus. If you want to, I absolutely do it. If you want to approach a couple that you think might be a little out of your league, absolutely go for it. Sure. Absolutely. Don't let that hold you back. But don't make that like your only limit, right? You don't limit yourself. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And you're not looking for that ultimate couple. You're looking for fun. You're looking for casual, sexy time.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't a life partner, folks. This is for the next couple hours partner.
Yeah. But sometimes these individuals become really good friends, even lifetime friends.
Sure.
Or friends for several years. Maybe you don't play with them for several years because you've stuck them in the friend zone, and then one weekend you decide to go away and have a good time. Don't have any expectations, but you bring your backup hoe bag just in case, like a good swinger does.
Yep.
And you never know, you might just get really lucky with people that were stuck in the friend zone.
Right.
Right?
Friends that you've had for a long time, and next thing you know, everybody's naked and fucking right there in the middle of the couch.
It happens. It does. I'm telling you.
It has happened, yes.
Age is just a number. I think we're on number 6.
Yes.
Try not to think of them as old as your kids. If they're more younger than you, try not to think about that, because we have thought those thoughts before, And yet we have slept with some young people. And we were like, oh my God, that was so fun.
And honestly, you don't really know their age. You're not checking their
you don't.
ID. So
they could just have really good genes and they just look really young.
So stop assuming that they're the same age as your kids or that they're the same age as your parents, for that matter.
Right.
And just have a good time. They're fun, interesting people. They're consenting adults, period. Just leave it at that.
Right. Back to what you said earlier. You're not looking for a lifetime relationship. You're looking for 2 hours of fun.
Yeah. And, you talk about things that are just across the board fun and sexy, places you've gone, great foods you've tried, maybe sports if you're into sports.
Right.
But keep it fun and sexy.
Teamwork. Being on the same page with your partner is really important.
Yeah.
We would always have this play review, if you want to put it on the sports theme. How you feeling tonight? Where you at? Are you nervous? What's your trigger, do you think?
Right.
Are you feeling good? You feeling excited? You feeling what? And so we'd always check in before, we check in once we get there.
Yeah. Because if you're not on the same page, just like the velociraptors can sense
yes
other swingers can sense people not being on the same page and being kind of out of tune with each other. It's kind of a weird thing, but you go, he's excited, she's checking her watch or looking around or doing something. You start to pick up on those nonverbal signals, and it's kind of off-putting because you're like, is it my breath? Or is she just not into this? Like, what's going on? I don't understand.
And you won't always be on the same page every single time you go to an event. There's plenty of times that we've not been on the same page. I'm just not feeling it that night. I tried, and it didn't work out, but at least it was a success because we got dressed, we went out, we had a date night, and we met and talked with really interesting and sexy people and made some contacts. So we didn't maybe get to play that particular night, but it was still a plus.
Yeah. And I think part of that too is because we were on the same page. I mean, some early experiences we weren't on the same page, and we figured that out pretty quickly when we got ourselves into trouble. But now that we're really on the same page and we know how to get on the same page, we don't set the other couple up or couples up for a weird dynamic with us, right?
Yeah.
So it's important.
Exactly.
Have each other's backs, kind of limit the whole inside jokes and sarcasm and things like that may be a little off-putting.
Yeah, that's off-putting.
You get used to it with your own kind of like marital banter.
Right.
You and your partner, fine. We've seen couples that acted like junior high school kids, where it was almost like him pushing her and pulling her top down, and that was his idea of fun. And for us, it was fucking disturbing. It was really weird to watch.
Uncomfortable. I didn't like it.
It was like, okay, you were hot about 5 seconds ago, and now we're gonna go. We got someplace else to be.
Go.
So yeah.
Same with sarcasm. Keep it to a minimum. If you're a sarcastic type of personality, I get it, and don't change, but maybe try and keep it to a minimum. If others aren't. It basically comes down to be yourself, but you are still trying to connect with other people. So if they're not getting your joke or your sarcasm, don't force it upon them. They are an audience. You have to read your audience, right? You're trying to attract them to your trap.
Totally.
So don't offend them.
Watch
modify
for those nonverbal cues, right?
Yeah.
The body language.
Right.
If every time you say something they flinch a little,
maybe dial it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Flexibility, meeting a couple at, different locations, maybe halfway between restaurant, bar, whatever be flexible in that. at your house, at their house, whatever. Paying for dinner or drinks, typically one person would cover, and then if we met the second time, we would cover.
Right.
Or vice versa.
Or even just go Dutch and each couple splits the check halfway.
Sure.
We don't noodle about the subtle differences between she had 2 glasses of wine and we had one.
Nah.
Forget the details. Just kind of.
Yeah.
It kind of.
Yep.
It works out.
Yeah.
Karmically or the next date, it'll work out.
And be flexible with covering the room cost. We've been with people that have already covered the room cost because they're downtown. They're already downtown for a great night and they're out doing their thing and they happen to post a hot date at the same time. So if the hot date works out, then they have a hotel. If it doesn't work out, then they still have a hotel and they still have each other and they had their date. So typically, if that happens, no one really asks you to, pony up, if they've already got the room. But we have also been in situations where we did say, hey, would you like to go get a room? We'll split the cost.
Right. Exactly.
So, it all depends on how you want to do it. Just be flexible.
Introverted wallflowers. Yeah, so you got to get those dark groups of us that are kind of in our own shell. And we've learned. I'm just going to start that whole thing over. Being an introvert or a wallflower. Some of us have worked very hard to come out of our shells. Mm-hmm. And you really force yourself to interact with other people. And eventually it starts to become more and more comfortable.
It's the whole fake it till you make it. And the more you practice something, the easier it gets, as we all know. It's true. It's true. Just pretend you're acting.
Yeah.
This is what gets me by the whole time.
And there's some pretty easy techniques for stuff like this. Talk to at least 3 couples at an event.
Yep.
Forces you to get up off your seat, walk around the room, walk up to people.
Yep.
And eventually that just becomes comfortable.
I can never, ever sit down at an event. That's my kryptonite. If I sit down, we are dead in the water.
Yep.
Nothing happens. I have to keep moving. Otherwise,
you're like a shark.
I am. And I figured that out. When we used to go to these, I used to always sit and wait.
It sucks the fun right out of the party as soon as you sit down.
You cannot do that. You absolutely cannot.
Now, if you're engaged in a conversation with a couple and you need to rest your feet, absolutely sit down for a little bit.
Sure.
But as soon as the conversation starts to slow down a little bit,
get up and go.
Go dance, take them with you.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes. Exactly.
Another really simple technique for kind of getting out of your shell, compliment people. Mm-hmm. You look great, great tie. Mm-hmm. Those shoes are sexy, something. It's a conversation starter.
Yes. I would even say, be honest. Mention that it is your first time, that you're new. People are really happy to take you under their wing. And you become instantly real. Why? Because you're revealing something that's very honest and kind of raw.
Kind of intimate.
Like, hey, I'm new. We're new in this thing. And it's instantaneous how people warm up to you. Oh my gosh. Da, da, da. And people are so helpful and they really want to.
Because people empathize.
They do. So you have that instant connection.
Started out new and was in that exact same situation. So people get it, and it's a really good bonding opportunity.
I agree. Next one, hang with the professionals. I will say newbies and dabblers can tend to bail on dates.
Right.
And, you're just, I get it. It's not a negative thing. It's everyone's just trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And stuff comes
nervous.
up. They're nervous. Yeah. They're trying to juggle life and all the feelings and things that come along with it. More experienced swingers are more likely to invite you to a party if you're soft swap. It's an or full swap. It's an opportunity to learn, watch, and experiment with little to no peer pressure. So don't take yourself out of the game just because you're soft and you're not full. People aren't going to know that. And honestly, people don't even ask you that. Not a lot of people do, unless you're doing a one-on-one with that couple, right. Just you four in their room, and they happen to be full, and that's their preference. They will ask you that. But if it's a group party, no one cares. There's something for everybody in a group party.
Yeah, and honestly, for the first half of the party, 3/4 of the party, before the playtime starts, it's just social engagement. You're just having conversations with people. So
social engagement, and it's usually soft anyway. So
yeah, just go for it. Have a good time.
Yeah. So target those professionals. Don't be intimidated. I say go for it. Get yourself in there. Get in that game. Okay, next topic.
Sensitive topics.
Bum, bum, bum.
These are things that either A, you should avoid completely, or B, be very careful and wait for the opportunity for it to be brought up. But I'm going to say you probably shouldn't be talking about these things at all.
Oh, God. Okay, what are these things?
Well, they're the same things you don't talk to your family about during Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
Politics, religion. Not sexy.
No.
Not in the bedroom or some kind of a fun event.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear about these things. They're having a good time. And you got a 50-50 chance of offending somebody.
Right.
For either one of those. Maybe higher or lower, depending on where you are.
Right.
Even if you know the couple and are very comfortable having these kinds of conversations, the people around you may not be comfortable with the conversation.
Oh. So even though you haven't seen your old buddy and you want to catch up on your local politics, don't talk about it at an event.
You could be turning everybody around you, all of your potential play partners, away.
Ding, ding, ding.
So,
got it.
It's not a good thing.
Okay. And where they work. Don't want to do that. Really,
a lot of times people don't want to talk about their workplace or their job title or whatnot because they're nervous about people knowing where they work.
Right.
That's like the outside world and potentially their employment in jeopardy.
Yes.
If that were to get out.
Most people are comfortable saying, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I'm
right.
I'm law enforcement, I work at the government, I work at the county, whatever.
Right. And to be honest, if you're talking to somebody at a swing event, they're probably either a nurse, a doctor, law enforcement, or fireman. Or a teacher, sorry. Those are the top professions that seem to be in swinging. Occasionally you run into accountants or lawyers or judges,
right.
Web developers, but it's not as common as those first five we talked about.
No, definitely not. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the next one.
This is your favorite.
Chatty Ken or Chatty Cathy?
Yeah.
Do not monopolize the conversation because it gets really unsexy. We met some really, really sexy people on one of our trips to Costa Rica, and we really liked them, but it was actually two separate couples. The men from both of these couples were in some sort of position. One was a salesman and I don't know, one was a market. I don't know what they were, but their jobs must have required them to talk a lot because they talk so much. For the first few days, I thought, oh, they're just really nervous. They'll calm down. No.
That's just
by day 4, 5, I was like, oh, again, the sexy meter just kept dropping and dropping and dropping because they didn't get to know me. They just kept talking about themselves. So by day 5, I just started fucking with them. And I said to Ed, I'm like, watch, at dinner, I'm going to try and change the conversation every single time they talk. Watch. And I was just literally fucking with them, trying to just... And
Yeah.
For my
Steer the
own
conversation.
humor, right? To steal the conversation back. These guys were good. I kept trying, and they kept bringing it back, and they kept bringing it back. I was like they didn't even hear me. So after about 3 times, I was like, oh, now I get you. You're not even listening to me at all.
Right.
All right. You just 0. Done. It was such a shame.
Yeah, it was disappointing because we'd actually started to kind of make some connections with a few of those couples, and
so weird.
They like just punched holes in the bottom of the boat, and the whole thing just
I've
sank.
never met such chatty Kens in my whole life, and 2 of them were at this.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. If you're nervous, drink, smoke something, pinch yourself, ask your wife to talk for a while, or whoever.
Take deep breaths.
Ask more questions, right?
Yeah, do more listening.
Do more listening. Because you're not going to get any action if you're doing all the talking.
Yeah, because people like to talk about themselves. I get it. But a good listener wants to hear about somebody else too. And so if you're doing all the talking, you're not doing as much listening.
Exactly. And if you're doing all the talking, you're not doing any listening as to what she wants when you're down on her and she says, lick to the left, lick to the right, lick in the center, and suck real tight. He's not going to hear that.
No. Very important instructions. Please pay attention.
You know, I just made that up. That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We need to write that down. I want to say that again. We could make a song out of that. All right, next one. What is it? Boom, boom, boom.
Being too honest.
Yeah.
And this is similar to the kind of the verboten subjects that we mentioned before. You don't have to go into a bunch of detail about your family stuff, like the dynamics, how many kids you have, all that kind of stuff. Don't talk about the skeletons you've got in your closet, right? Nothing to scare somebody off, like hearing about all the weird, bad things that you've done in your past.
We've had people tell us about lawsuits, and I was like,
yeah.
Some were interesting, some were a little uncomfortable. I'm like,
because depending on the perspective of the person you're talking to, just like the forbidden subjects,
right.
Maybe they don't feel the same way as you do, and you've now set this up as like, oh, that's awkward because
Yeah.
The long and short of it is, keep it sexy.
Simple. Stupid.
Yeah.
Next topic. Nothing nice. If you don't have anything else nice to say, as your mom would tell you, don't say
anything.
Negative talk of others is definitely not sexy. No. And it's very, very off-putting. So please, please, please don't do that about others. You can talk about others and say, you could say, I guess how we have warned others about others. For example, we know of a particular gentleman whose condom frequently tends to slip off.
Yes.
And so I have warned one of my very good friends of that. And I said, he's very nice. He's fun to play with, but I would be careful.
Pay attention.
If you want to play with him, by all means, do so. But just be aware of where the condom went. She's like, okay.
Yeah. And that's not speaking badly of them per se. You're not... It's a word of caution or awareness for somebody.
Right.
I guess that's the way to do it. Where we've seen it, it's they were terrible lay, or they can't, whatever.
Yeah, like way bad, like disrespectful, not good.
Well, it's kind of awkward to hear somebody else being torn down.
Right.
Secondly, you're talking to somebody who you want to play with, and they're thinking, am I going to be a victim of that same level of talking to the next couple?
Right. Exactly.
And let's all be honest, not everybody is a full-on rock star porn star in every sexual encounter. It may have been a bad night.
Right. You got to give people a break. So, yeah, complaining, don't complain. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, done. We're good.
Done.
We're done with nothing nice to say. The next topic, don't get too high or too drunk because y'all know you ain't that sexy.
Yeah.
Not only are you not that sexy if you go too far over the edge, you lose that connection with someone. And we talked about this at one of our parties that we went to. Some friends of ours, he likes to smoke pot, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. But when he uses the parties to really kind of just smoke a little more, I think. And so he tends to check out.
Yeah.
He's in his own little world, and so I can't connect with him, therefore not sexy.
It basically turns into the exact opposite of chatty Ken.
Right.
Yes.
Ken
is completely silent and almost comatose. You can't engage with him.
You still can't connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you lose that, not to mention the fact that if you're too drunk or too stoned or whatever, you may not be feeling very well at the end of the night.
Right.
You could end up throwing up and being asked to never come back to a party.
Oh,
because you messed
yes.
something up.
That does happen.
And we've seen that happen a number of times.
And people tend not to get asked back. So that's kind of a big thing, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything in moderation.
Yeah.
And long and short of it is you want to have a good time. So don't overdo it.
Right.
Because you could end up with an ED situation. You could end up with just sitting in the corner, sipping on water, hoping that the room stops spinning kind of situation.
Golly.
Because none of that's fun.
Or you get yourself into a situation where you didn't really consent to something you normally would if you were more sober.
Right.
And then you're sorry about it the next day. And that's no fun.
Yeah, you start breaking rules or boundaries, or something happens that you just don't know how to handle.
Exactly. Next item. Don't be pushy or desperate. Sex should be fun, because it is fun.
Yeah.
It's not an agenda, and it's not a bucket list item. Although we do have bucket list items, but we have a list.
Bucket list.
But it's not the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a list, and then the night progresses. You're not going to the event or to someone's house with unless you know them really well, and you do have a list. And we did have a couple that we really knew pretty well, and we did have a list. And we were like, okay, let's try this next time, and that was super fun. But generally, you don't. But you have your list, and then at the end of the night, at the end of the party, you're like, oh my god, that was one of the things on the list. Yeah,
we get to check that off. Yeah,
it's super fun.
We've had a few of those.
Next one.
Too flirty. That's me. If I drink a little bit too much, then I tend to be super flirty. I'm flirty enough as it is, but I get even more flirty.
You get to be the lover flirty.
It's a little off-putting to one partner, and it could be off-putting. Phoebe appreciates it to a certain degree, and she thinks it's fun, but you could be off-putting to the spouse of the person who you're flirting with.
Right.
They may not be able to handle it. Some people just don't like that super intimate thing, and there's a point at which it becomes awkward.
Right.
So,
or you start write checks that maybe can't be cashed because you're all in, and your partner's like, I'm not sure yet.
We need to talk about this.
So...
And it's important while you're flirting to get to know the couple.
Yeah.
So flirting can be good because you kind of open up some doors and you set the mood, and it's sexy, which is important.
Right.
Keep the touching to an appropriate level. And what is that? It kind of depends on the situation. You're going to have to read.
It does.
Things.
It does.
But too much touching during a conversation can be off-putting. And not enough, maybe you're not showing interest. So, touching the hand or the arm as you're having a conversation, or little hand on the knee kind of thing during a conversation can be fun, or dancing. And when you're dancing, all kinds of things happen.
Oh, yeah.
With the flirting and the touching.
Yes.
And the dress is coming up.
Yes.
Or down.
Fetishes is another one. Many do exist, and not all swingers are into them. So, don't try to pressure others into one, if that happens to be your thing. But make sure they do know that you have a specific fetish and that you are currently engaging in one. For example, the dom and sub role. Early on, we ran into this couple where the dom and sub role was actively going on that night, and I was not allowed to talk to her, only to him. But I didn't know that. He didn't tell me that. Right. So when I talked to her, I kind of felt like I got in trouble. And then he told me, you can't talk to her unless you talk to me first. Right. And then I felt bad, because I felt like I offended them, because I didn't know, and then I felt like I should know but I didn't know, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me? And so I had all these emotions that were like going back and forth, not wanting to offend people, not knowing the rules, and blah, blah, blah.
And at the time, we had exactly like zero experience with the kink
this was like one of the very first of 3 parties,
except for the whole thing that happened to me in college, which is probably a whole other episode we could get into.
What? You had a dom sub thing in college?
Oh, the fetish club I went to in San Francisco.
Oh.
For anybody who's old school Bay Area, you think back to the mid 90s. There was a club in San Francisco called the Trocadero, and they had an event each week called Bondage A Go-Go. Oh. And it was my first exposure to the whole leather and bondage and fun stuff. It was hot, being in college and watching all that stuff going on. Lots of pushed up boobs, and it was fun.
That sounds fabulous.
I don't think it goes on anymore, but it was a thing.
All right, next one. Power balance. Most people want everyone to have a good time. This goes kind of into what I was talking about with the fetishes. You've got your dominant or submissive role. Can be off-putting or confusing. Just make sure you tell that person, right? And the other one, the power balance. I don't like this one. The director.
Yes.
We ran into that a lot in the very beginning, and not so much anymore. Do this. I want to see you lick her pussy. Look her tit. Touch her tit. Kiss her. I want you to do it. Like the guy, I'm like, what? I'm not in a porn. I'm not getting paid. Like, really? I gotta do whatever I want to do. Oh my God, that was such a turnoff. It would make me mad. But I don't see or experience people doing that anymore, which is good.
It happens a little bit, but it's more of like a subtle suggestion. It's less of that like pokey kind of a pushy thing.
Yes. Yeah, I did not like that one guy. It actually happened a couple times, but anyway. Yeah. All right, everyone, thank you for hanging in there. The last one.
Dun dun dun. Passive participation. So swinging takes work.
It does. It really does.
You gotta outfits. You got to find the events. You're on the prowl during the event, trying to find the right people. You're making conversation. You got your A game on.
We are constantly surveying the room the entire time.
Hustling. Not that we're working, but we're working.
We are, because you're trying to meet as many people or as you can in a limited amount of time, and make a lot of great connections in a limited amount of time, and hopefully make something happen in a limited amount of time.
Right.
There's a lot to do.
People turn to pumpkins past a certain hour, so
yes,
you got to be on your game.
Yes.
And kind of the whole prep leading up to it is also a very active participation thing for, anybody who's been on a dating site before or on a swinger site. It takes an active level of engagement with the site, following up on emails, reaching out to people, constantly working on your profile. You got to add new pictures, take things down, you change your wording. You've had a play experience that has changed your boundaries. Well, now you got to go update your profile. And if you're on a couple different sites, you got 2 or 3 different sites you got to go update. You got to join groups. You are moving all the time. It's like any hobby, right? You've got to keep working it. You
got to put the investment and the time into it. Now, I will say I do have empathy for the people that aren't updating their profile on a regular basis and things like that, because you jump in and you get overwhelmed and you jump back out for a little while, and that's not your main focus, or you've got young kids, or you're taking care of a parent and life happens, you've changed jobs and other stuff gets in the way. You're not on the site every week or every day or even once a month.
Absolutely.
So, but when you do decide that you want to jump back in and you want to start, getting stoking the fire, you probably have to be on a minimum once a week. Minimum.
Yeah. And you go in, you hadn't been on in a while, to update your email, make sure that you're reaching out to people who you're interested in, and if you choose to, you can also let people down gently if you're not interested. But yeah, like when you're on there, take care of your business and move along.
Right.
There's also the whole aspect of creating communication accounts. So
right.
Me, we, those kinds of things. It's a way to stay engaged kind of outside of the normal swing sites.
Right.
You've made a connection with somebody and you want to maintain that connection.
Yep. You check in. Yeah. So as you start to go to more parties, go to more events, meet more people, get connected, it just starts to build and build and build and build. And then you start, staying in touch and staying in touch. And then all of a sudden people are reaching out to you for a party and, things like that.
And most importantly, if you want to stay in this for a while, you've got to make connections when you attend parties. You go to a party, you make those friends, and you find out about other parties. And those parties, you find out about other ones, and you start to build up your network.
Exactly. That's what I was just saying. I think I jumped ahead of you.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Those connections are important, and parties are a good way to make those connections because you find out about more parties.
Right. Oh my goodness, that was a long list, but really, really good. Hopefully this helps you get the swing back in your swing game. Have fucking fun.
Specifically, fucking fun.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This is Ed.
And Phoebe saying,
thanks for listening to Swinger University, where we give you more than just the tip. The Swinger University needs your help. If you like our podcast, let the world know, or at least tell a fellow swinger or two. Not only will you be helping us, you'll be helping your fellow swing lifestylers. Please rate and review us on Apple, Google, and Amazon podcasts. You can share your favorite episodes on social media. We're at TikTok at Swinger University, Twitter and Instagram at SwingU Podcast. Email us at swingeruniversity@gmail.com and visit our website at swingeruniversity.com, where you can find more information as well as visit our affiliates page to get a free 30-day membership at Cassidy.com. Thank you for listening to Swinger University, your horizontal enrichment podcast.